Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my top 5 favorite foundations from the drugstore. This goes along with my series that I started a while back. I've only done my top 5 blushes, my top 5 nude lipsticks, and now this is the third video for the series. Foundations are something that I collect. I have so many different foundations just because I feel like I'm always on the hunt to find something that does like a certain thing. So I put together my top 5 for you. All 5 do different things. So I'm going to share with you guys why I like each one, maybe some pros and cons to each. I'm also going to be putting in foundation swatches, so I put it all over my face with nothing else, so you guys can kind of see the differences between every one as I talk about them. Hopefully you guys find that to be helpful too, a little bit more of a visual as I talk about each foundation. So let's not waste any time. I love to just get right into the videos, so I'm going to kind of start by coverage. So I'm going to go from like the lighter coverage foundations to a more full coverage foundation. Keep in mind that my skin type is normal combination. I get a little bit oily in the T-zone, but sometimes I have dry patches on the outside. I typically prefer a more matte full coverage finish, but some of these are not matte or full coverage, but I'll tell you why I enjoy them anyway. Let's start off with one foundation that I don't really hear that many people talk about. I feel like it's one of the most underrated foundations at the drugstore. It is the Neutrogena Healthy Skin Liquid Makeup or Foundation. Here's what it looks like. The shade that I use is the shade 40. Now, this foundation comes in 14 shades. The reason why I love this one is because it's a lot more skin-like than some of the other foundations. I feel like this foundation looks the best when you use a little bit less. Sometimes there's foundations that you can really build up and it works. This one, in my opinion, I just feel like if you can, use less and it just makes your skin look so healthy, hence the healthy skin title. I really love how this makes my face look. It's got a little bit more of a dewy, satiny kind of finish. Another plus is that it has sunscreen in it, but it's not just any sunscreen, it's a physical sunscreen, which is really great if you have sensitive skin. A lot of times chemical sunscreens can actually irritate the skin, and this does not have that, so that is a plus. It has SPF 20. I feel like this is a great foundation for just running errands or just something that, you know, will last you a few hours. It's not the most long-lasting full coverage foundation, and so that's why I use it mostly in the daytime for just a really nice evening out of the complexion, but I won't use it on days where I have events or something like that because it doesn't hold up for me as long as some of my other ones do, but I still love it so much, and I think that it's a beautiful foundation. I kind of wrote down some pros and cons. The pros for me, again, are the finish, less is more. The cons for me are actually kind of the shade range. Shade Nude 40 is actually a little bit lighter in my opinion than the shade 30. And also if you're a little bit more fair, they do run a little bit pink. So you just have to kind of test out a couple shades and see if you can find one that works for you, because I found that it was kind of hard to find a perfect match. This one is actually a little bit too dark for me, slightly, but the undertone works better, so I just make it work with a lighter concealer. Another con that I have is the packaging. It does not have a pump. As you can see, it's kind of messy because you do have to pour it out on the back of your hand and it gets really, really messy. So I don't love that. I do love that it's a glass bottle though. And yeah, that's all I have to say about the Neutrogena Healthy Skin Liquid Makeup. I definitely think you should try it, especially if you like a more sheer to medium coverage that looks really skin-like and really healthy and glowy. Next on my list has been a go-to for me recently. I've had this for a while, but I didn't really like become obsessed with it until the last couple months or so. It's the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow Foundation. Now this foundation is also a medium coverage foundation, and it does have a little bit more of a glowy finish, which I don't always gravitate toward every day, but I definitely have been gravitating toward this during the day or for evening. It is just a really good, reliable foundation. It doesn't give me as much coverage as some of my other ones, but I'll just spot conceal and let the rest of my skin kind of shine through. The thing that I really like about this is it's not like a greasy looking glowy foundation. Even if I wear it for like 12 hours or so, it seriously lasts so beautifully on the skin, and I just really like the finish of it, and I really like how it kind of lets the skin show through and has a really skin-like finish as well. But this one I would say is definitely more long-lasting than the Neutrogena one. A con to this though is that the sunscreen, it has SPF 15. The sunscreen in this is a chemical sunscreen, and even though I know that that has potential to really irritate my skin, and I actually think that it might be causing some bumps on my forehead, I don't know. I can't stop wearing it, and I need to figure out a way to maybe wear it where, you know, it doesn't really react with my skin as much. I've been really trying to be careful with chemical and physical sunscreens because I do notice a difference, but unfortunately this foundation is just so pretty that I can't stop wearing it. That is something to be aware of. I really like how lightweight this feels, and again, it lasts so long. Another con for this foundation could be the shade range. There's only 12 shades in this foundation, so at least that's what I saw online, but I swear to you there was more at Walmart. Walmart. It could be only 12. So that could be a con if you're looking for the perfect shade. You may have to mix some to get your right shade. But overall, this is the one that I've been gravitating toward the most. I just love how it wears. I love how it looks on the skin, and it's just reliable as far as holding up on my skin for hours and hours. So such a great foundation. You guys should definitely check it out if you have not already. And if you have any tips for how to prevent chemical sunscreens from breaking you out, let me know, because I think that might be a little bit of a problem with this for me, but I still love it. The next foundation I'm going to talk about is one that you guys have definitely heard about from me and from probably a lot of other people here on YouTube. It's the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless Foundation. So this foundation has a little bit more of a full coverage finish. It's really buildable, and it's one of those foundations that you can build up, and I feel like it still looks good. This lasts throughout the day really, really beautifully, and it's not like a drying matte. I still feel like if you have dry skin, you could still make this work, as well as oily skin. I do feel like you could make this work as well. I really, really love the finish. The shade range of this foundation is absolutely insane. They have 40 shades. So that is such a plus when it comes to a drugstore foundation. Like, it's so hard to find a drugstore foundation that has that huge of a range. So no matter what skin tone you are or what undertone you are, you will find something that works for you. The shade that I have in this one is Ivory 115. I forgot to tell you guys the shade of my L'Oreal Pro Glow. It was 202 Natural, just in case you were wondering. But I really do love the finish of this. A con, again, is the packaging. I just wish that they would just put a pump on these foundations. I know that would probably bump up the price a little bit because it costs more, obviously, to make a packaging like that. I do appreciate the glass bottle. I really like glass bottles. But again, I feel like sometimes I pour out a little bit too much foundation, and it's hard to kind of control the amount that I apply. But otherwise, it's beautiful. The coverage is really nice too. I like to wear this one when I want to have kind of like a satiny matte finish with a lot more coverage. This is a really beautiful foundation for that. So if you haven't tried that one yet, you definitely should. It's so many people's favorites, and I know why. It really does look beautiful on the skin, and it's a reliable foundation too, and it photographs really well, which is a plus. The next foundation I'm going to talk about is also from Maybelline. It is the Super Stay Full Coverage Foundation. The shade that I have is number 112 Natural Ivory. This foundation, when you first apply it, is so flawless. It feels like velvety, buttery goodness on the skin when you apply it. There are 16 shades in this range, and here's a plus, my friends. It does have a pump packaging and a glass bottle, so definitely wins in my book as far as packaging goes. I actually did a full review on this on my channel, so I will link that down below if you guys are interested in seeing a more in-depth review on this foundation. But honestly, it is so flawless when you first put it on. I don't even need to use concealer on my blemishes when I use this because it's just that full coverage and beautiful. One thing that I will say about this foundation that is kind of surprising to me, and you should just be aware of, by the end of the day, even though it says it's 24-hour wear, the finish kind of changes on me, and I've seen that in several people's reviews as well. It'll start out really, really matte and kind of feel dry if you set it with powder, but then by the end of the day, it gets kind of dewy. It doesn't look bad, it doesn't look greasy, but that's just something to be aware of because I don't feel like it stays matte at all, like maybe the matte and poreless does. It stays more matte than this one. But the thing that I do love about this is it still looks so good. Like, it doesn't move around, and it doesn't break up around like my mouth or my nose unless I, you know, wipe my nose with a tissue or something like that. It really is such a reliable, beautiful foundation, but you should be aware that it does kind of shift in finish. So if you are planning on wearing it for a long period of time, maybe bring a blotting powder or a blotting paper or something like that if you tend to get oily in the T-zone, because it does tend to look a little bit more dewy than I thought it would by the end of the day. But it's a beautiful, long-lasting foundation that is awesome, and it's very full coverage. So if you like full coverage, you will definitely like this. It makes you look flawless. Last but not least, my friends, we have the Milani Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 foundation and concealer. This is the most full coverage out of all of them, I would say. This foundation has 19 shades in the range. I didn't see that many on Ulta.com, but I went on their actual website and they had way more, and I think at Walmart, at my Walmart, if they carry Milani, there were several more shades. So the packaging is really great on this one as well because it has a pump. Now, this one, I actually mixed 2 shades. I'm sure there's one in between that would work, but this is the foundation that I'm actually wearing right now, and I mixed the shades 01 Creamy Vanilla and 00B Light to get my perfect shade. Some pros about this foundation is it will make your skin look absolutely flawless. It is so full coverage, and I do feel like it is really long lasting as well. I think it looks beautiful throughout the day. It says that it's water resistant and sweat proof. I actually haven't paid attention to whether it's water resistant or sweat proof, but that's pretty great. I also really like the finish of this foundation because even though it's really full coverage, I still feel like it gives a skin-like finish to the skin, which I think is really beautiful. And on those days when I want full coverage, but I want to kind of look like my skin has a nice skin-like finish still, even though it will probably be obvious that I'm wearing a good amount of foundation since this is so full coverage, I will reach for this one. I'm trying to think if I have any cons about this foundation. I think I would definitely say to work in layers because this is so full coverage, kind of work in light layers because I've made the mistake sometimes of like accidentally putting on too much and then it's really hard to go back because this is so full coverage and it kind of makes you look like you're wearing a nice mask of foundation. So I would say to apply this in layers and kind of build up coverage where needed, but other than that, I think it wears beautifully on the skin and it has a really beautiful finish like I said before. So that is it, you guys. That completes my top 5 drugstore foundations. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing what my top 5 picks are. You guys know how much I love to hear your recommendations as well, so leave a comment down below letting me know your skin type and your favorite foundation from the drugstore, and that way we can all help each other out because if somebody has oily skin or super dry skin, I would love for you guys to help each other out and figure out if somebody's looking for a good foundation for them, then they will be able to kind of have some recommendations in the comments. So if you would do that, that would be amazing. Also, let me know if you guys like any of these foundations that I mentioned and let me know if they work for you or if they didn't work for you and why. That is all I have for you guys. Please make sure to join the family by hitting the subscribe button on your way out. And if you guys want to be notified every time I upload, which I upload 3 times a week, so if you don't want to miss out, just click on the little bell after you subscribe and you'll be sent a little notification when I post a video. So that is it, you guys. Happy shopping. I hope you enjoyed this video. I love talking about foundations and I could probably talk about several more, but those are definitely my top 5 most used at the moment. I love you all so much and I will see you in my next video. Love you. Bye.